Well, happy Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to the program, such as it is for a weekend, for a Sunday. It is the informal Intrepid radio program. That's why we don't call it that. It's Sunday with Scotty and Raini, and it's still called Scotty and Raini, even though Raini doesn't ever show up anymore. She's so busy and got so many other things going that she doesn't always get in here. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get a Raini sighting this morning because I haven't seen her myself since I got up. So I just got up, did the quick shower, shite, and shave, and made some coffee. And here we are. I'm clothed and in my right mind. I've got too many lights on, so I'm probably coming across really burned out here. Let me go hit that bright light and knock that out of the way. Oh, there. See if that's any better today. My lighting is wonky. One of these days, I will get around to fixing the lighting in this studio. I still haven't hung the lights that Uncle Dave gave me, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Elderberry, good to see you. Nice to have you in here this morning. We got nobody else in the chat room, though we have lots of listeners. And if you're out there listening and you want to come on in. Come and join the conversation. Be part of making conversation here. And let me readjust that light. And this one is really bright. You know what happens? My computer and everything around it is all hooked up onto one circuit. And when the circuit pops down here, which sometimes it does, it shuts everything off, then back on, and everything's a full blast. So that's what you're getting here right now. Full blast lighting for radio. So how's everybody today? How was your week? What's going on? What's happening? What's shaking? What's going on in your world? What's going on in the world around you that you want to talk about? Sundays are very casual. We might do a couple of tarot readings this morning. I got a couple of sets here because I've been doing my tarot of the day, tarot card of the day over on my TikTok. And I've got about, I only started it a little over 2 months ago. I've got, what have I got over there? How many? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks or a little bit more. 8 times 8 is 64, 65. I've got 65 card of the day readings over there. And if anybody wants, they're only a couple of minutes long, usually. I've been going about 4 or 5 minutes. You know me. I can get talkative. I think I sometimes need to explain something more than I do. But to me, that's what makes a card reading. I've gone over to TikTok and I've seen some card readers, and they'll do things like this. They'll be holding the deck like this, and they're going, yes, and well, that's, you got to go for balance, and yeah, and you got some conflict coming, and this is for love. Love is going to be good today, and I'm like, well, anybody can do that. Why don't you go in and get a little deeper? Maybe that's good for some people. They go, oh, okay, I just got 10 things I'm supposed to do today in 12 seconds. But if you're going to do a reading, why not do a reading that's meaningful, that has meat to it? If you're going to talk about balance, why not talk about balance? And if it comes up positive or negative, I don't do strict reversals. So if it comes up positive or negative, I believe that the cards, every meaning has an inherent right, an inherent wrong, or inherent good or bad aspects of the same card. And so you gotta sometimes look out for both. So, that's the way I do my readings, and most of you know that. We might hit a couple of those today. Let's see how the day goes. And I do have a couple of decks here that I read from. I have my traditional deck that I use, my smaller Touchstone Tarot. But then I've got the big Touchstone Tarot deck, like this same deck, just a bigger deck. This is Raini's that she bought, or I gave to her. I don't remember which. This was done by Cat Black in New Zealand. and she put this deck together. She's the one that gave me the deck that I use, which is this one in the little bag. And you can see, here, I'll show you the difference. She gave me this deck. I actually bought one of her decks and was using it. That's the one that was stolen when all my stuff was stolen on the Queen Mary. I had a room that they gave me to do tarot readings at a Ghost Hunters event with Jason and Grant and everybody from the show Ghost Hunters. And so I left that room to go have lunch or something, or it was during the dinner, and I came back and all my stuff was gone. It had all been rifled through my bag and taken. There was very little left. My bag was taken. I had a bag in there, an attaché that had a lot of stuff. It had my money in there. And I also had Christmas presents in there that were gone. This was in December of 2008 was when that happened. And so she had given me this deck, or I bought this deck from her. That's the Touchstone, the smaller size. And then I told her, oh, do you have any more of those? It was, I think, an initial run of her deck. And she hadn't done the big one with the book and all that yet. And so she said, I don't have any more of those. But she went ahead and she took press sheets she had and cut them down and sent me this deck, this new deck. So I've been using this since early 2009. And that's why it's so frayed and used up. Now, this is the bigger version of that deck. You can see a comparison. This deck comes in, it's got the gold leaf on the edges and all of that. And, and then this is the deck I have that I've been using. And then we've got the big deck, which never really gets used all that much. And because we want to preserve its pristinity. Is that a word? Pristinity? For pristine? But anyway, this is that deck that we bought extra from her. And so it's got the gold edging on it. And it's got its own little book. So you can go buy the stuff that's in her book. And anyway, so that's that. So I use this deck sometimes when doing readings for my daily readings. And I can't shuffle them normal. You know how you shuffle cards and you split them up and you do the flip, and you put them all back and in place. And I can't do that with these because they're too big. Oh, too boku. And then I also, so I've got those two decks. And then I like to use Cat Black did this one, the Golden Tarot. And I used this, I think, before I used the Touchstone deck. Now, this is a newer one, but her Golden Tarot comes the same way. It's got its own little book. And you can look her up. I don't even know if she's still got a website out there or not. I haven't looked her up in several years, but it's got the little book that goes along with it so you can learn her tarot. And I think this is the deck that has the happy squirrel in it card. So there's that one. That's the Golden Tarot. And I've got other decks that I've read from in here that I don't like as well. I bought a deck once when I was out of town. It was the Lord of the Rings deck. I had forgotten my cards, and I went to a big convention. And it was a convention for... it was a paranormal convention. And I'd forgotten to bring my cards. Oh, enlarge myself? Yeah, I can do that. Let's do that. We'll remove that. There you go. I'm enlarged. I am now enlarged. Boy, what's shining light on that? Which light bulb up there? Reflecting off the glass in the back. So we'll leave it alone for now. So I was at a convention, so I went and bought cards. We couldn't find a metaphysical shop and a tarot card deck anywhere. And so we finally found a little shop. It had one deck that appealed to me, and it was the Lord of the Rings tarot, and it turned out being a skanky looking deck. The artwork was horrible. Hey, how you doing? You look like a boy right now? With long hair. With long hair? Yeah. Oh, I don't think she looks like a boy. Do you think she looks like a boy right now? What makes you think you look like a boy?
I just look like a boy.
You wearing a
Look at
boy
my new
shirt?
sandals.
That's great.
The pink.
New sandals, flip floppy type of. What do you call those? They aren't really sandals. They're what?
They're sandals.
Or are they sandals? Just
They're
big
sandals.
plastic ones. So, hey, go get me. Do you see? Is there a wooden box, big brown wooden box with a brassy handle on it, sitting over on the drawing table, way over on the other end of the room, or down on the floor there, or is it in there? Oh, it's in there. You see it with the big handle on it? Hey, good morning.
Good morning. That deck of cards was a gift from me
That's what I thought.
with the special squirrel card in it.
Yeah, it had the special squirrel car. Still does.
And because
So
it was something like because it was a special edition only for people who bought that specific.
that's what it was.
And she didn't have.
Well, come over here and tell us about it.
I don't. My mouth is nasty because I ate cheese before bed.
No, nobody's gonna smell your breath, your cheese breath.
I'm only gonna stay for 2 seconds.
She's gonna stay for 2 seconds.
I gotta take Rowan.
Rainy is coming. She just got out of bed.
And the leather pack that got
There's my
stolen
beautiful.
was a really nice gift that a boss had given me. And so it was my leather bag that got stolen.
Yep.
But I had called, and when you were still there, I had called her to see if she still
That's
had the
what it
special
was.
deck. And she didn't have the special deck anymore, but she still had extra squirrel cards. So you got the deck that was coming out, and then she just shoved them out.
Well, this one was this deck, she said was she cut down press sheets for this one. It was one of the prototypes. That's this one. So whatever she did for that one is cool.
Whichever one had the squirrel card in it.
That's this one, the Golden Tarot, I think is the one with the squirrel card.
And then whatever we have a double deck of is my deck that you just keep using.
Hi, Rainy, says Elderberry.
Hi.
And Cordia says hello.
Hi.
Elderberry said yay when I said that you were coming on. Russ Haslidge. What did Russ say? It's jumping with new comments. You're a bit wee on the screen. Oh yeah. I do that. I start with the banner, Russ, and then we bring it down. By the way, I almost cut off my whole mustache this morning by accident. It's a little slighter than it was last time. Hey, now, don't do that. She does that to me, the dog. She always puts her paw on my face and it scratches my face.
Your butthead and her tail's just wiggling.
And her tail just wagging. You can't see
it
here.
My face.
Can you see her tail? No, you can't. There it is. She's just there. Just waggle, 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 waggle.
Butthead. Now she's gonna lick me.
So that's my beautiful wife when she first gets out of bed. That's how beautiful she is.
Oh yeah.
She's beautiful when she gets out of bed. She's beautiful when she gets into bed. So, Lucy is mama's baby.
Time to go.
So
I gotta go get ready. Rowan's gotta be to school in a half hour for pictures. So.
Oh, see, they can't just do Saturday. They got to do Sunday too.
They did Sunday because usually most parents aren't busy on Sunday, so they can get the entire teams together.
Yeah, I get that.
So.
I get it. Well, you go have fun.
Oh yeah.
Taking care of things.
Bye.
Bye. You going with mom?
No.
You should.
It's the Ellie and Scotty show.
Yeah, the Ellie and Scotty show. There you go. That is my coffee creamer. We can get that out of the picture. What's over here?
I don't know where I put my phone.
I don't think you had it on you when you came in. So everybody, that was Rainy. The other half of It's Sunday with Scotty and Rainy. So it's nice to see her. I told you we might get a sighting today. What's the word? I manifested it. So, and the lights are still too bright. That is a huge pug. Yeah, she's gotten big. Well, the thing with her, Lucky, is that she's, and I've mentioned this before, for those of you who heard it before, don't be bored. She's not just a pug. She's a pug and has pug coloration and slight pug look, but she is half mini English bulldog. So she's taller, she's beefier. She doesn't have as much of a smushed down facial features as a pug. and she is so she's got that look about her as well. But she's also got that attitude. So Elderberry says, "Wow, Ellie, you're growing up big. Stand up again." There she is. She getting tall. Yeah, she's 9 years old now. So the big 9 blank, big 9.
Whoa.
So Rainey's always beautiful naturally. Yes, she is, Cordia. I agree with you. And it's so nice to have her come in. And let's see what else we got. We got who's saying what? Heather White. Good morning, Heather. How are you doing, Heather from Scotland? Oh, class. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. It's what 3 in the afternoon over there. So how has your Sunday been, Heather? Had a good day? Did you have some Guinness by the fire yesterday? Carlene Smith. Good to see you, Carlene. Haven't seen you in here for a while. Yeah, she's grown a foot, Elderberry. She has indeed. So she's apparently she is producing me this morning because she's clicking all your comments up onto the screen. So so do you all know Heather? I don't know if you clicked her up there. I just saw you over in the chat room. There's Heather. I've known Heather for since I was working with Taps Para Magazine, which was 2009 and 10, I think. So maybe get a chance to meet her face to face when we go to Scotland. My daughters want to take me to Scotland, my older daughters. So hopefully that will happen this May.
I want to go to the Caribbean.
Yeah, long time, she says. You want to go to the Caribbean? What's in the Caribbean that you want to see?
Clear water.
Clear water. Yeah, you can go swimming in the ocean. Oh, it's been all right. Cleaned a guy's house, then got me kids, then took my friend to do a dump run in my van. So just back in. It's good to see you this morning. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, hopefully. I hope we get that opportunity. And let's see. Steph says, okay, so I got to keep it clean today. I'll do my best. Oh, because the little one is here. Like she doesn't hear so much over here. But yeah, we try to keep it a little clean. Boy, it's just, I feel like the lights are just burning everything out this morning. I look paler than normal. I need a tan. That's what I need.
I'll try something.
You can turn off the overhead, but then I think it gets a little too dark. Yeah, see, now we just have the light of the computer. Unless I turn these around. Here, let me hit this one too and turn this a little bit this way. There, that's a little bit better. It's a little more moody. What is shining off of that? Oh, will you go over the storage closet over there? Just hit the light switch around the corner. And that light is what's shining, I think, in there. Boom, there it is.
I haven't been in that place in a long time.
And then there's the picture. I always like this picture to show up in the background. That's the picture my daughter Bryn did for me about, was it 10 years ago now or 8 years, something like that, of Samwise and Frodo from Lord of the Rings. She does that. She did that freehand. That's all pencil. That's not a print of any kind. That's the original pencil right there. And then they put my favorite quote on there, which, it might be worth reading again just for the sake of reading it. Here, I got this big thing right here in the way. I'm not going to move it yet because I want to refer to some stuff on there.
I'll put it on the
But no, just leave it right there. But I am going to go and look Sam speech to Frodo
I could just read it.
from Two Towers. Let's see. this is such a great speech that he gives. And there's two different versions here. There's one from the movie, which of course is going to be different from the book if they have to change it for timing or anything like that. But you all know this speech, and it's one of my favorite. And if you can see the picture there, there's that white piece down there, and that's got they printed out. She printed out the this speech on there because they knew it was my favorite speech from the movie, and this is where it's toward the end of the movie, the two towers, and Sam says Frodo says, "I can't do this, Sam," and Sam says, "I know it's all wrong. By rights, we shouldn't even be here, but we are. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were, and sometimes you didn't want to know the end, because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. They meant something, even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going because they were holding on to something." And Frodo says, "What are we holding on to, Sam?" Sam replies, "That there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for." Ah, that sends chills up and down every time I see that, or every time I read that or hear that. Yeah, when Sam started crying, yeah. And now here's the book version of that same speech. In the book, Tolkien's words, he said, "Yes, that's so," said Sam, "and we shouldn't be here at all. If we'd known more about it before we started, but I suppose it's often that way. The brave things in the old tales and songs, Mr. Frodo, adventures as I used to call them. I used to think that they were things the wonderful folk of the stories went out and looked for, because they wanted them, because they were excited and life was a bit dull, a kind of a sport, as you might say. But that's not the way of it with the tales that really mattered, or the ones that stayed in the mind. Folks seem to have been just landed in them. Usually their paths were laid that way, as you put it, but I expect they had lots of chances, like us, of turning back, only they didn't. And and if they had, we shouldn't know, because they'd have been forgotten. We hear about those that just went on, and not all to a good end, mind you, at least not to what folk inside a story and not outside the story call it a good end. You know, coming home and finding things all right, though not quite the same, like old Mr. Bilbo. But those aren't always the best tales to hear, though they may be the best tales to get landed in. I wonder what sort of tale we've fallen into." "I wonder," said Frodo, "but I don't know, and that's the way of a real tale. Take any one that you're fond of, you may know or guess or what kind of a tale it is, happy ending or sad ending, but the people in it don't know that, and you don't want them to." There's the two different versions. Great story, of course, both ways. Both Peter Jackson's version and, of course, the original version written by J.R.R. Tolkien. That's that picture back there. I'd like to always have that show. So Bryn did that for me for Christmas back in, I want to say it was 2012. that she made that. Maybe a little later than that, 2012 or 13, which which makes that picture over 10 years old. Anyway, in this box, you see this box I have here sitting on my desk. I have all my old tarot cards, and that's why I had the child bring this over so I could show you some of these, because I've got all these decks of cards that I read from, and some of them I haven't read from in a long time. Oh, look, I've even got, I opened this up the other day, and I've got old pipe tobacco in here. It feels moist. I don't know what'll happen to it as soon as I open it up, though. That's been in there for at least 10 years. So I've got other decks in here, and some of these have gotten pretty scattered in here. They were put together nicely at one point, but I've got this deck here that is, I'm trying to remember the name of the deck, and what, well, and it's mixed in with other ones as well. But this deck, it's a beautiful deck, and I don't remember what it's called, but the cards look like this on the back, and they've got all this gold. I don't know if you can see it, the gold foil on the card. Everything behind the person sitting on the throne, there you go, you can see is gold foil. And so these cards all have this look to them. I only used these a few times. They were great to have. So I saw them on somebody's table once, and I bought them. And so they're all in here. I've used these cards before. I've got other decks in here. This is what is this deck? I loved the artwork on this deck, and that's why I got it. There's the back of the card, and then the cards look like this. And I thought it resembled some of the kind of work that I do, and I really was drawn to the deck. And I haven't used that one. I've got this. There were a bunch that were in here in piles, and they were organized for a while, and now they're not. There is more of the cards there. What is that one? That's Soul. I don't know what Soul is. So that's one of the major arcana, and I don't know which one it is. Sometimes in these tarot decks, they rename the cards for their particular deck. And now that's Luna, La Luna. That's the moon. So you know what? That's in French, I think, or Latin. La Luna. Soul, S-O-L-E. What would that be? In either French or Latin of some kind. So yeah. So this was a gorgeous deck. They even had nudes in this deck. No, but I loved the way this is Temperance, pouring the water of emotion between two cups and trying to maintain balance. So that's a gorgeous deck as well. What else we got? I got a mini deck in here. This was kind of fun. This little mini deck of tarot. You can see how small those are. And I liked, again, the art on these. Not as well as the last deck. There, this was the one with the gold on it. It was called the, trying to look for the title, Visconti Tarot. That was the Visconti with all the gold. You see the gold even on the box. I saw those and was very drawn to them. I thought they were very cool. And, you know, it doesn't matter. It's like the deck that has, and Raini got the one deck because it had the Happy Squirrel card in it. And she bought it for that reason alone. And let's see. This is the, let's see if I can read it without my glasses. Oh, this is the Visconti in miniature. So that's that same gold lame deck. And it doesn't have the gold on it, I don't think. Let me take a look. Nope. This is not with the gold, but it's the same deck. It's the Visconti deck, only it's done in, it's just miniature, and it's just done with the black. You can see. If I can keep the light from reflecting. I didn't like these because I like the pictures as opposed to just the symbols like that. 5 of coins. So there's that deck I've used before. Not very often, but I've got them. I had one that I really liked, and I'm wondering if it's in here. It might be. We have a cabinet out in the other room that's got all our tarot stuff in it. Different decks and stuff, because we would sell them at shows. So we've got a bunch of brand new, but I had the, there was a Victorian one that was really big cards with Victorian drawings and things like that. These are just more of the other deck. This is the Imperator. That sounds Latin to me, but that's more of that one deck. And there's some of these are all mixed in. They've just for years all been in this particular box. And what's this one? Oh, this was just part of the deck that I use all the time, but it was the introduction card to the deck from Cat Black. And this one's signed. It's signed and numbered. This was deck number 400 or was it 465 was the deck that I had originally bought. So that's in here. I had taken that card out. So, one of the small decks goes in here. I'm trying to decide which one it is here by looking. You can see this was, a mini tarot deck, and that was the book that flipped out. Comes with his own. It's actually a hardbound little book that came inside this deck. So I had collected a lot of decks over the years, and some of these, it looks like I got too many cards. But again, that's from that one deck that's sitting here. Just gorgeous art, and I loved the artwork in this deck. So it reminded me of more like Frazetta, although nothing like Frazetta, fantasy art, things like that. More of the, I don't know if I have 2 decks of some of these or not. I got some cards underneath the stuff in the bottom here. Let's see, what are these? Just more of the same? Yeah, more of the same. The Scotty. I've been looking for that handkerchief. Feathers. I got feathers in here. Those were pheasant feathers. I don't know why they're in there, but that's a bunch of the decks that I have just sitting right here. And there's not a lot of them in here, I guess. They're just all over the place in here. We got all kinds of decks out in the other room that are all brand new, pristine shape, still in their boxes. So there you go. That's that. One of these days I'll go through and I'll sort these out again so that they're usable. And maybe do some readings off of some of those. What's Steph say? When he was live chat, who are we talking about here? Randall, I watched this guy in YouTube called Dutch Sense. Dutch Sense or Deutsch Sense. I don't know which that is. Been watching him for a few years. He warned us when we were getting rare ones in the Northeast. He's pretty much spot on. You talking about the eclipses? Let's see. Randall, I watched this guy on YouTube. Okay, I saw that one. When he was live chat, it was like, where next? And he did say without using. Oh, that's the deck that stays out. I almost mixed that in with everything here. Hold on. Yeah, that stays here. So the next 7, without using his theory, next 7 to 12 days, Northeast should get another one. Only this time. Oh, you're talking about earthquakes? Tennessee, Texas? Yeah, New York having an earthquake. That was kind of weird and rare, wasn't it? But of course, remember, this is what people, they think back to their Christian eschatology, where it talks about in the end times, there'll be earthquakes and wars and rumors of wars and all of this stuff. And this is where people say, well, are we in the end times? Are we at the time of the rapture or the time of the end times, the great tribulation, as the Bible calls it? The time when all believers in God are taken out of the world and the world is left to its own for 7 years. So it's interesting. I was I am one of those believers right now that says, well, there's a big eclipse coming, and you know what? I call it an eclipse. It's going to pass over, and then it'll be done, and things will be normal. Now, what is the eclipse? All an eclipse is, scientifically, is just the moon passing between the Earth and the sun. It seems random, but it's mathematical. It happens every so many years and in different parts of the world. So what is that? Is there a meaning, is what people say? Is there's an astronomical meaning to this? Don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. Randall Flag, it's quakes. That's what I thought once I saw that, because you're saying they're all over the place. Carlene says, had hundreds of clams wash up in the old Orchard Beach the next day. Really weird stuff is going on. So what's it all mean? What do y'all think that means? I have not looked into this. I watched sum total of one video from a Christian point of view on the upcoming eclipse. And the guy, he was intriguing to listen to because all the numbers seemed to work. He used some numerology, and I couldn't tell you who he was. Somebody had sent him to me. Let's see if I can tell you who that was. Rainey even wrote me here. Hold on. I got you the deck for your birthday. It was a special edition with the squirrel card. She didn't have the special card edition, but she had got the regular deck. The leather backpack was mine. I had gotten for a gift. That's what she was saying when she came in. So, and then she came in to talk about it. So it was nice to have her in here today. Let's see. I'm going to look for the person who sent me the link. The link she sent me was Sid Roth. But Sid Roth's supernatural. And he's an old duffer. And he's on, but he was talking about the eclipse. And he had a guy named Troy Brewer reveals the truth about the total solar eclipse coming on April 8th. Order your copy of Looking Up by Troy Brewer. So, there's the big question. He is giving us the truth about the. So, is he the only one who's got the truth? Is it a truth from his interpretation of how things are supposed to be? I don't know for sure. I mean, look, we've got the Bible, which we all question and question and question. That's supposed to be the truth, right? At least in Christianity, but we question it outside of Christianity. Is it the truth? Is it real? Is it true? Is that the truth? They claim it's the truth. Now he's claiming that the eclipse and his whole thing leading up, and he's very articulate and he was very good to listen to. He had me going, No, I couldn't relate to you anything he was saying. I watched it rather quickly and I went, oh, he's got an interesting point of view on this. But there are other interesting points of view on this whole thing. So what is it? What's really going on with this whole thing? What do you think with the eclipse? Is the eclipse remember in medieval times, the sun went dark for X number of hours, during the day. It's a portent from God, or it's a portent of evil. It is we went, oh, such superstition. But now we go back to that nowadays because of the way things are going in the world. And we think, oh, is there something building up? Whole thing with biblical end times prophecy. It's all focused on Israel, that everyone around Israel would be moving on Israel. That's interesting, huh? That's building up to something. But there's a couple of things that have to happen for all that to work during that 7 years of tribulation after the rapture, according to biblical eschatology, depending on if you're a a pre-trib or a post-trib millennialist, all of that gobbledygooky language about it, because it's not clear that even within Christianity there's different camps. But some things have to happen for the end times to happen, for Armageddon to happen. One of the things that happens, it says, is that Israel rebuilds the temple. It would be Temple 3. So, or actually Herod's temple, I think, was Temple 3. But it would be the next temple. Rebuilt on the temple platform, which what stands there now? The Mosque of Omar. Muslims aren't going to give that up easily. So what happens? Something happens that allows Israel to take that temple platform back and demolish what is there. Right now it's the Mosque of Omar, and build the new temple, the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. Now, that's got to happen for these end time events to happen. So watch that, and watch that closely. Is that a decision that's going to be? Maybe it happens just during that 7-year period that the biblical prophets call the Great Tribulation, the Great Trouble. And that the one that is referred to in the prophecies as the Antichrist. That's not going to be his title in real life, but he's going to be basically, tacitly, the ruler of the world. He's going to be the one that unites everybody, and all countries and all nations look to this person who is charming, who is an amazing politician. He's somebody that reunites. It's Joe Biden. That's right. Joe Biden's the Antichrist. But somebody that draws the world together, not by power of force, by power of his personality. He's an amazing person. And probably not coming across as evil at all, but somebody that the biblical prophets placed the evil moniker on him because of what he does, what he accomplishes. That's like you can take any given president and somebody might do something. Even Trump. Trump might have done something. You've got people that think he's evil. You got Biden, and we don't even have to hit that one. You've got Obama, who was a charming president, and people liked him. He had a great populist following, still does. But did he do anything that other people would say, well, that's evil? So this is the idea here. I think whoever is going to be that Antichrist, that picture of who that person is being dubbed as Antichrist in biblical prophecy, probably going to be a cool dude. I don't think it's going to be a woman. It does talk about it being a man, at least in the prophecy. And so it's a man who becomes basically the leader of the world. And he's the one that really changes everything. It's like his word goes. And people love him. Otherwise, he wouldn't make it to power. So he had but he's the one that allows Israel to rebuild the temple, which happens about midway through this 7-year period. So let's say we're not in that great tribulation now. Let's say it starts tomorrow. That would mean 3.5 years he would have to build his coalition, to build his him being the leader of the world, and the ability to mandate that Israel is allowed to rebuild its temple on the spot of supposedly one of the more sacred sites to Islam. Do you see that happening anytime soon? Nostradamus, when did he predict the guy in robes would end the world? I don't remember. I really don't. Big Mike is a man. Which Mike? Which Mike are you talking about, Steph? Big Mike. That's like, I remember from the movie of Volunteers with Tom Hanks way back in the early 80s, mid 80s. There was some, Mike Obama. Oh. Yeah, I don't think so. But he referred to as this black ops guy, and he talked like this, and he's got this big dagger on his belt, and he goes, "Yeah, that's my dagger. That's Mike, my dagger." So, Mike named his dagger Mike Obama. Yeah, I don't know. And what do y'all think of that? Is Michelle Obama really a guy? Everybody talks about that. There's all this talk about it. I don't joke around about it because I don't know. Not my place. I don't know about that. But you hear talk about that all the time. Is that true? I have no idea. If you want to talk about it that way, it's not my business. I don't care. But I wonder if insisting that's true would get my show banned on YouTube. I look at some of the things that YouTube demonetizes certain episodes of mine for I'm pretty much clean on YouTube, which means I'm not being offensive enough. But I look at the shows of mine as I go through the list. I did this yesterday. As soon as I put up a show and make it public, if I forgot to, like this show, in the edit, I didn't set that it's on any of my lists on YouTube, and it's not monetized. I got to go back in and do that because I didn't do it last night. Maybe I did for this one. But if I hadn't monetized it, nothing. So I'll go in and I'll go, oh, yeah, I want this one monetized. Why do I have to click that? My show is monetized anyway. You have to go in and deliberately click it on in order to get monetized. It's just not automatically, even though your site is monetized. So you got to go turn on the monetization. And sometimes you got to do it twice before it takes. But I turn that on. As soon as I do that, I go right back out to the list. It's already marked as cannot monetize, and you can hit review. They've got me labeled as needing all my episodes need review before they'll monetize. Oh, congratulations. I'll get something in 7 days. So you get that initial 7 days where people usually go back and hear you. You're not monetized for listeners by the number of listeners you have. And they found a way around that, which it's when you get most of your follow-up listeners is in that first week. Well, they've got it set up that it takes a week to review you to make sure. And so I miss out on a lot of that. But they do that for every single episode. It's automatic. And they always come back and say the language you use and so on. And I say, please manually review. And it comes back, congratulations. It looks like your show is fine for monetization. It's like, well, why do you have it automatically set to review then? And it's been doing that for a couple of years. So anyway. Carlene says, as much as I have to wonder or fall in line with the crowd on that, I think she's a woman. I think she is too. I think Michelle Obama's a woman. Sorry, all those of you who think she's not. That's not a conservative point of view, but you see very few who aren't conservative that will hold to it. So it's people in the conservative movement that think that. I think that's a radical thinking, and frankly, I really don't care. If Michelle Obama is a guy, so what? I don't care. Doesn't affect me. That's the business of Barack and Michelle, or Barack and Mike, you might say. That's their business, not mine. I don't care. Is it a lack of morality? To some. It's not to me. I don't care. They're adults. They can figure their lives out. They can figure out what they want to do. But Steph says, I joke, but I really do question if she's a woman. It's the deception part of it. Yeah, that's it. If she was a woman and Barack was and they were both big supporters of the gay movement, the LGBTQ and all of that, and the trans and all of that, wouldn't they just come out and say, yeah, Michelle's Mike. She transitioned years ago, and we adopted our children. Wouldn't that elevate them, at least in the uber progressive liberal side of things, to great heights if they admitted that? Why aren't they admitting it if it's true? The gay community would certainly back him. Well, they already back him. So who knows? All they say is that they never have seen her pregnant. Some women are never pregnant, but have children due to not being able to have babies. There you go. There's that possibility. Now they've not come out and clarified that. It's a question, but yeah. Kept quiet. Dead men tell no tales. There you go, Randall. So I don't know. Yeah, Steph, just to be open. Why don't they come out and address it? You know, there's all this talk about, and let's clarify something here. My wife is all woman, or whatever. I don't know. They do it in their own charming way. And you have to admit it, whether you like them or not, and like their politics or not, they're charming people. Well, he is. I don't think so much about her. Well, look how long Diddy kept things hush-hush. Yeah. Somebody's going to say something somewhere along the way, unless they're dead. So I don't know. So for all of you over at YouTube and anywhere else that want to gauge this show on what I talk about, you know what? I don't care is what it comes down to. It's not my business. It's not my life. So, hey, have you all noticed? Because you just caught my eye back there, over there. You noticed my new action figure next to, I don't know if I've showed him off yet. Shown him? Showed him. I don't know if I showed him off yet. That's Indiana Jones, if you hadn't noticed. Let's get him. I just happened to see him out of the corner of my eye while I was talking. So there he is. Indiana Jones, the staff of Ra with the headpiece of the staff of Ra, and he's standing there, and he's got his little diary book of things in his other hand. And so I thought, I found him at a comic book shop for $10. So I said, I'm buying him. So there he is. Let's see if I can make him stand again. He's been standing there for a month. So there he is, Indiana Jones and the staff of Ra from the map room, looking for the Well of Souls from the original movie. I thought it was appropriate to put him by the Egyptian sculpture. Let's see. Yeah, it's the blackmail part of everything, Steph. You're right. So, boom, boom, boom. And I'm looking at what you're all talking about. So anyway, there I have in my own little, perhaps dismissive, some might say denialist way. I don't care about Michelle Obama, Mike Obama, whatever she is. Don't care. Doesn't bother me. Don't bother me none either way. It all depends on political ideology for me if they're going to be in politics. If they're going to run her, what kind of fight do you think Trump will have if they run her instead of Biden? So right now they're saying, one of the last stories I saw just a couple of days ago, they said there has never been an incumbent president get reelected who has fallen below 50% in the polls. And Biden is at 40%. You look at all the gaslighting they are doing. That's a Jill Biden just gaslighting the country the other day on saying how good Joe's numbers are and what a great chance he has of winning and all of this, and not even a chance. And so you look at that and you go, why are you saying this? Why don't you just admit? Why don't they just admit Joe Biden sucks as a president? Get him out and run somebody better. You know what this tells me? They don't care that Joe Biden's the president. They care that they have power in their political philosophy. Leftist to progressive, whatever you want to call it. And that's what they all want anyway. They all want the seat of power, no matter what side you're on. So to them, it doesn't matter that Joe Biden's president. Probably like it better knowing he has nothing to give. They like having him there because they can control what he does. And they can do what they want as the group that's behind all this. That's the ones running everything. Is it Obama? Is this Obama's third term? I care that they're producing end of times movies. I don't know which ones those are. You're talking like apocalyptic type movies. I haven't seen any of the new ones that are out yet. I've got a rug in here, like a big Persian rug in this whole room, and it comes under my desk, and I've got it. It's set right to the point where the wheels of my chair hit it, and roll it up, and I get my chair stuck on it every now and then. So, exactly, it's power, sex, money, greed, and total control, says Steph, and you're right about that. And yes, she says, the Obamas are the ones running things right now. I care that a foreigner was president 8 years signing documents that wasn't in our best interest. Yeah, and that's a big question. There's a big question about his birth. Was it true? Was he not I'll be numb if old Joe gets another term. There are some fears of that. How can we possibly be sitting in a country where we have a fear that this guy could get reelected? And I don't think it's because he's going to win. I think it's because it's going to be manipulated that he wins. And then they've already got, this has been in the news, they've already got this whole apparatus in place to challenge Trump's winning the election. So Trump has been saying, make it a landslide. It's going to have to be a landslide for him to win against Biden in order or so significant that there is no question. So, yeah, the Biden administration has already got all kinds of legal shit in place to make sure that if Trump wins, they're going to make his 4 years in office hell as they challenge every aspect of the election. Like they said was wrong for Trump to do, but they'll do it because it'll be right for them. You ever wonder about that? Why is it wrong for Trump, but it's right for them whenever they challenge an election? You couldn't on YouTube, you couldn't even talk about, or Facebook, you could not even talk about the possibility that the election was fraudulent. You'd get banned, you'd get shut down. But I guarantee you, if the left does it, not going to be anybody banned or shut down. That to me is a big point of interest. Yeah, that's why the big push for the illegals to vote. You're right, Steph. I haven't seen any major legislation on that yet, but that's what's going on. Now, the left has presupposed that just because they're letting them all into the country that they'll vote for Biden. But there's a stark contrast because Trump has said everybody who's coming illegally, one of the first things I'll do is I'll make sure they all get shipped back out of the country, deported. If they give them the right to vote before the election, guess what's going to happen? They'll give everybody amnesty and they'll say, everybody who came in, you show up at this office, general amnesty, and you can be a citizen. And then you'll have a right to vote. Joe Biden could have closed the border in 1 second by signing his name to a piece of paper, make an executive order to shut. He doesn't want to do that. But he could use that same piece of paper, executive order, saying we're gonna make everybody who's coming, we're gonna give them a general amnesty, and they're gonna all be citizens by August 1st, just in time for the election. The media is questioning Trump on his mental illness. They have tried almost every way to stop him. You're right. They have tried everything, try to stop him. Yeah, the Supreme Court's going to have something to say. Why do you think they're trying to impeach? What the heck? Why did I space on his name? Clarence Thomas and other conservatives are trying to impeach them off the court. They're trying to pass legislation to increase the number of justices on the Supreme Court. Why? Because they want Biden to be able to appoint more liberal judges. There is, yes, judges are supposed to be impartial, but they all bring their own personal ideology to the table. What's going to happen if we have a slim margin by one vote in the Senate? What happens if we lose the Senate? On the right, all this stuff is going to come pouring in. So somebody just defected, you could call it, changed party from Democrat to Republican. So that's not bad. Yeah, they want more Senate seats. Yeah, they want to, Morgan Snow, you're absolutely right on that. They want to increase the Senate seats. They want to gerrymander everything to increase the Senate seats. So there's all this manipulation behind the scenes that people didn't used to know about. Now we know about all this stuff because it's all in public. So they're having more of a problem getting this stuff done. Bring all the invaders to Epstein's Island. There's other stuff there, isn't there? It's like Martha's Vineyard. I don't know for sure. Because people would say, oh, I went to the island. I didn't visit Epstein's place. So what do they do there? What goes on there? So this is the kind of stuff that will keep you stressed out about politics, because you don't know what's coming next. They all say that President Trump is going to be a dictator and Resident Joe Obama aren't. Yeah, they're already dictators in a different way. But they still have to abide by our laws, which they're trying to find ways to get rid of and eliminate. Yeah, no labels died with Joe Lieberman. That's right. Joe Lieberman was a good man at heart. So I think that this election is very important. Can it all be done? Even if Trump wins, can that all be undone in 4 years? Sure. But you've got 4 years to make things work. Has Joe Biden's administration done enough in the last 3.5 years to make sure that their stuff can't be undone? There's a question you have to ask. Yeah, dictators. So Rainey used to have a shirt. We did it up for her because it's so funny. Very early on when Rainey and I were married, we were married in 2007. We'd been together for 2 years before that. We had the ranch, which, by the way, if you don't know this little detail, my ex-wife and I used to own the ranch. We were buying it from the old cowboy. And then we got a divorce. I just signed the ranch back over to him. We canceled all our contract for deeds. And he was fine with that. He had his ranch out there. And then after I was together with Rainey, I was out there and I was driving up the old road going up to the ranch, country road. And I remember it was a big curve going up a hill around pasture land and all that. And I see Mac, the old cowboy from Wyoming. He was an old dude. He was in his early 70s, and I saw him. He was training a team of horses. He was driving them down with a big wagon down the road. And I stopped and said hi. We talked for a while. And I said, that's where the famous line from him that I've mentioned before. I said, man, and I remember I had just signed it all back over to him when I went through the divorce, which was at that point when I met Rainey. It had been 4 years since I had been divorced. Almost 5. No, because my divorce was final in 2001, but we'd been separated since 2000. So I met Rainey in 2004. We got together as a couple in 2005. So it'd been 4 years. And so I said, man, Mac, I said, I sure miss the ranch. I said, I'd sure love to buy that ranch back. And he looked at me and he said, well, Mr. Roberts, ain't but 2 people done love this place, you and me. He says, you want it it's yours. And we worked out, talked to Rainey about it, and that's when we moved out there again. We started buying the ranch on a contract for deed again. And then we didn't really lose the ranch. We lost the ranch only because Mac and I got into some problems and all of that. And well, we had some disagreements about things. And one of his things was he was like, the only reason, my ranch isn't surviving, because he had, in his contract, it said he could keep his horses out there, had use of the barn, stuff like that. And we had disputes over some of the stuff that went on, and our relationship degraded between Mac and I. But he just discontinued the contract for deed, and it cost me more money to fight what was going on. So we moved off the ranch. We had a dispute over it. He got in trouble with HUD, HUD. What's that stand for? Human, something in urban development or something. He got in trouble with them because he had said the reason that he stated he was discontinuing the contract was because I was ghost hunting and I was flipping cards, tarot cards. And he told me, he says, that's why God ain't blessing my ranch. It's because you do all those things. And I said, you really can't discontinue this contract for that reason. Well, he did. Got in trouble with HUD. Had to pay a big fine. HUD said, well, what do you want? Do you want to stay where you are? I said, nope. We're going to move back off the ranch. So that's when that happened. That was 2009, I want to say, that happened. And but I do remember the conclusion to that story with Mac and I when he was dying. He was 76 years old at this time, and he was dying. He had cancer of some kind, and I don't know what it was, what kind of cancer it was. He had problems with his hip. Made me think of that when Uncle Dave had this stuff with his hip. But he called me one day after all this and the smoke had all cleared and all of this, and it was a year or two later, 2 years maybe. And he called and he says, he told me, he was supposed to be dying now. I'm dying now. And he says, there's one thing I know in this life. Mr. Roberts, he always called me when he was getting serious. There's one thing I know in this life. He says, I love Scotty Roberts. And he says, I sure wish you'd come out and visit. Bring your kids. I'd love to see your kids. And Sam, as a matter of fact, was born. Not Sam, I'm sorry. He knew Sam and Abby and Bryn. Flynn wasn't even born until we moved off the ranch. Rainey we moved off the ranch in July of 2009. And Flynn was born August of 2009. So my current kids never knew the ranch. But he said, and the kids were all little. So this is a few years later. I can't remember what year he died. So we went out and we visited him. And he had a hospital bed in the living room where he was staying. He couldn't get up. And so we all visited with him for a couple hours, and then we took off. Hello? Can't tell who you are. It's dark in here.
It's your daughter.
And that's it's my daughter. I knew you weren't Mom. You weren't tall enough. There's Rowan.
I had to go take volleyball.
Rowan and Bob Saget. Oh, you already done?
Yeah.
Oh, they took their volleyball pictures.
Why is your
So-
camera so bad?
The camera's bad anyway.
No, your camera sucks.
It's horrible. You can go turn on the big lights and it shows up better, but then it washes everything out.
I look better with the lights on.
You look better. Go turn on the light. Hit the
Mhm.
switch.
Lucy ate a squirrel today.
Lucy ate a squirrel.
Yeah, she got the squirrel in her mouth.
Oh boy. So the pug mini English bulldog, that's a little better. So I don't have the big bright light on. There, do you think you look better now?
No.
No, I can't look any better than I do. So, do you remember when we went out to visit Mac? When he was dying at the ranch? Were you old enough? Were you even born yet? You were born in 2011.
11.
And I can't remember what year he died. I know Flynn was out there, but he was a baby. He was young. So I don't know if you remember that. We went out to the ranch. Mac was in a hospital bed in the living room there of the old house Mom and Dad used to have. So anyway, so we went and we saw Mac. And then he passed away. And his wife, Andrea, he was married to Andrea. She comes into the show every now and then. He was 76. I think she was 27, something like that. Not 30 yet, I don't think. She had 2 little girls from her previous marriage, and Mac.
That's a big age gap.
That's a huge age gap. You think the one between Mom and Dad is big at 19 and a half years.
No, it's 20 years.
It's 20 years some days.
No, it's
Now,
20
like
years.
Rainey's birthday's coming up on the 29th of this month. She'll be 44, and I'm 63. What's the difference between 44 and 63?
Oh, 20.
19.
20. Shut up.
Yeah, that's why you're not advanced in math at school.
No one's advanced in our school.
We're like 19 and a half years. Half of the year we're 20 years apart. Half of the year we're 19 years apart by the numbers. So I wouldn't put him on your head. You're going to end up with a scratched scalp.
No, it's
Not because he's mean, but because he tries to leap off of you. That's Bob Saget. For those of you who don't know our cat,
No, it's Bob.
it's Bob Saget. Hi, Bob. How you doing? I'm sure he loves that.
Me too. You want to see something he hates?
Yeah, show me what he hates. Oh, who's my big boy? Oh, who's my big boy? I would hate that too. So, anyway, so that's that story. I don't know why I lapsed into the story of Mac. I rabbit trailed, but there was something about that. But the ranch was cool. If you go over to my Facebook, if you're interested, if you got nothing else to do, you can look at some of the pictures of the ranch. It was a great place.
Stop it.
So, wow, Sylvester wouldn't let anybody do that. You talking about the Sylvester? Capital the Sylvester? Yeah, no, he wouldn't. So, hey, Lewis Boyce, good to see you. Nice that you could come in. Here, I was going to do this. If you all don't mind, let me show you a couple of pictures. And if you're watching, you'll see this. I think you'll enjoy this. I got to go way back here. Let's see.
Can't leave it now.
Okay, see ya. All right. I'm going to show you guys, just for fun, the ranch and what it looked like. I hope you're okay with that because I'm going ahead and doing it. But since we're talking about the ranch, and I've talked about the ranch many times, I loved the ranch. I loved that place. Why? I think because we had 40 acres there. We had horses out there. I enjoyed living on the ranch. I loved being out there. I lived there from 2007 to 1997. I lived there until 2001 with my ex-wife. And we turned it back over to Mac. Then Rainey and I started buying it from Mac on a contract for deed in 2008. And we lived there until, I think, till Flynn was born in 2010, July of 2010. So 2 years one time, 2 years the other. But I loved the place. Hey, good morning, Mir, Goddess Justice. Good to see you. You're lucky. You're just in time. I'm going to show you some photos of the ranch because we were talking about Mac and the ranch and all of that. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I got to make sure all my porn is shut down and all of that. And let's share. Let's see. Where do I do that? Right here. Share screen. We're going to do the whole entire screen. Boom. And share. Now you're going to see that weirdness right there. And I'm going to go over here. And here are, for those of you watching and not just listening, these are pictures of our ranch that Rainey and I had. I'm going to go through these pictures. I loved this place and I miss it. I wish we still had it. Now, this was looking way out at the far corner of the ranch, way down in the valley on the ranch. The house was up on the highest hill on the ranch, and a big curved road would come in. And on the one side to the east was about 18 acres of old plowed field that hadn't been plowed for decades, but you could still see the old furrows in some places. There was forest that was encroaching on that northeast corner, which is really grown out. This is the northwest corner, the total opposite end of the ranch over here. You can see the woods. We had the fence line is right in those trees. But there you're looking across the back toward the northeast where the woods were coming across. These are just different pictures of the ranch. They're not big pictures. There were a couple of our horses. That's again, now this is up at the barn and you're looking out toward, this is the ranch. I loved this place. There it is in winter. And so there's some more of the same. I'm just going to flip through some of these. There was the road that came into the ranch. Up on the curve, at the apex of the curve up there, was the front corner of our property. And you can see the line down the middle down here was the south line of the ranch. So everything was at a cockeyed angle here. But that was the corner of our ranch, and you drive in under these big cottonwoods that were right here. And I built this fencing here. It was a corral I had built the previous time I had lived, and it hadn't been maintained, and it was a little broken up and all that. So the ranch, some of these pictures my kids took, and I put them up in here. There's a Google Maps. So the house was way up here where you see all the trees and all the cluster. The light colored building, that's the big barn we had. It was a big pole shed. And then this hill dropped down right here. This whole thing right here was a big slope that dropped down. And there was an old creek bed in here that came through, and it hit this wash here. You can see the wash. And here, but it was dry 11 months of the year, unless we had big rain. And then it would fill up. This thing would be sometimes 15 feet across. But once a year, when the snow all melted. Now, here's the woods. You can barely see it. It's an old aerial picture, but this is where the woods started encroaching. And this is all foresty back in here, too. When you get off the farmer's field, all back in here. And so that started encroaching in here, and it's probably way up into here now. This was the plowed land. And so it was pretty cool. There's our friend David Smith. He was the one that was my brother from another mother. He died. He was a vet who died. But there's he and Rainey. They're measuring some things out. This is down below the hill. There in the washes, or the river is back here, the little creek. We were measuring because we were going to put up some cottages down there. And they were measuring. We were going to put like a hobbit house into the hillside here. We were doing a ranch retreat is what we were doing. There's Rainey sitting at the dining room table of the old ranch house. And I wish I had done these as bigger pictures, but they're not. They're small pictures. That's looking out with the fog hitting. There's the barn back there. And there we were up in the upper fields up above the ranch. So that's me in the front, and Rainey and Sam, and I don't know if the girls were still home. I think the girls were still living with us at that time. They were still in high school. There's Sam and Rainey. There's our barn way in the background. That's all our land right there. It was pretty cool. Storm coming through. Hot, humid days. There's my old fence that just fell into disrepair in the short time that we didn't live there. That's Abby, one of my twin daughters. She is flying a kite. And that's one of, I think, Mac's wife's kids. There's Rainey flying a kite. This all out at the ranch. Rainey, one of my favorite shots of Rainey. That's Rainey back. That's the first year we were married. We're out at the ranch. And storms blowing in. That's the hillside on the back end of the ranch. Fog rolling in over the valley. The barn, that's the other end of the barn. This is early morning. That's Venus, I think, in the sky there. There's hot. Look at the pine trees. You can tell what kind of day this was. Incredibly hot, incredibly humid. This is sunrise, because that's the east. You see how humid and hot it was out there that day. Everything was just... There's Sam. What did I miss here? I accidentally hit it. Just landscape. There's Sam. This is up at the top of the hill. The house was behind him. And the horses would have free rein over that whole pasture going down the hill. That's me and Fergus, my horse. Goats. Oh, that was Sam. Sam and one of the ponies that we had. Goats. Skulls. There's Rainy taking me for a ride. Not the kind of ride that I liked. Yes. Dina Ebert said, I just see in the comments, Rainy lets you have pants? Yes, she does. So there. That was one of the wagons out there and the old house. Was our makeshift dumpster here as we were cleaning the place up. And so I got the whip in one hand, you can see, and there's Rainy pulling me in the wagon. There was our house. There's Rainy in a sundress with the chihuahuas at her feet. So that was our house out at the ranch. And there's my horse, Fergus. There he is. And that's me riding him around in the barn, and there are the horses and the fence. Rainy again with the wagon. In her bib overalls. I got to see if anybody's, if I need to respond to anybody over here. Yeah, it was a nice place, Morgan. Definitely. Here, we'll go back and I'll just finish going through these slides of there's Fergus and me. There's the house from a little different angle. This was all up on the top of the tree. We planted all these sunflowers across the front. One year. That's what those are. There's Fergus and me out in the barn. Rainy and me again. Rainy in the house again. Some of these are duplicates, apparently. Obviously. Oh, that might be it. I think we did them all. Yep, there they are. So that was the ranch. So there you go. It's a great place. Love this shot of Rainy again. So there you go. That's where we lived. That was the place. Oops, hit the wrong tab. We'll stop we'll stop the screen sharing. There we go. So that was it. It was a nice place. We loved living out there. And me too, Elderberry. I'd like to have that place again. We went back after Mac died. His wife lost the place. There was something weird about the deed that Mac had not made sure that it was clear that she got the place, and the place went up for forfeiture, and she couldn't save it, and so she got remarried to a guy closer to her age, and they live out in Wyoming. They've had a ranch in Wyoming for 10, 12 years now. So, but that place, I went back by that place. The bank had repossessed it. And that 40 acres, they have now parceled it all off, of course. They redid the house. You're gonna croak when you hear what I was paying for that. Mac and I had a contract for deed on that house that we wrote in 2008. And that contract for deed was for the 40 acres plus the barn and the house and all the outbuildings and everything, $169,000. $169,000. 2007, 2008, 2009, I lived there. And so now the bank, they reclaimed it. They parceled off the, I think probably in 5-acre parcels. The house up there, the bank came in and totally redid the house. which needed to be redone. My old brother from another mother, my late brother from another mother, David Smith, he was a contractor. He looked at the house. He said, "You know what this house needs?" He said, "It needs a can of gas, and a match." He said, "Then we should rebuild your house." So, but they totally redid the standing existing house, which is now 100 years old, and we were paying $169 for the whole place. The bank now had that, or the developer that bought it had that 5-acre plot with the redone house selling for $350,000. So twice the amount for that house than we were paying for the whole place. So that was a few years ago. Yeah, that's heartbreaking. All right, Elderberry. Yeah, I love that place. Great memories. And we used to walk out up in that northeast portion where the woods were encroaching. We used to walk out there and go into the woods, and it was magical back in there. I wish I'd taken more pictures back in there, and if I did, they're just gone. So, yeah, that was the place. That was the ranch. So, loved that place. And I was just going to look and see real quick. I thought we had a couple of other. It won't let me close that down. That's weird. Let's go back here. And so you can see that was when Rainey and I were first together. When we were first married, that's where we lived. My daughters had their own horses out there. Mac had his horses out there, and then we owned 5 or 6 of the horses, and he had 26 horses out there. And he would he'd buy them, break them, sell them. He'd do all of that out there on the ranch. And so we were always around. I learned how to train horses from Mac. So we always had a good time out there doing all of that. So I'm just looking here to see. I thought I had a couple of other shots with the girls on their horses out there and all of that, and maybe not. So it was a wonderful place, suffice it to say. And what am I looking at here? Oh, yeah. So there you go. What's the next topic? We can move on from that. That was the ranch. Yeah, the horses. No, Mac's horses were his horses. We bought horses from him, very discounted, right? Like Fergus. Fergus was it Fergus or Guinness? I named all my. I had Murphy. I had Fergus. And I think I had Guinness. I think it was Fergus, the one you saw, the painted pony, the reddish brown sorrel and with the white spots on him. He was a mix. He was a quarter horse and if I'm not mistaken, Andrew, if you're out there, maybe you can remember this. Quarter horse and paint pony. And I used him. He was a roper. Great horse. Young. He was like 6 years old. And but he eventually sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. They sold him. I turned him all over to Mac, all the horses. We didn't have anything we could do with them when we moved off the ranch. And so he sold them for pretty good money. And then they sold him. They trained him. He became a great roper. They sold him for, I thought I heard a couple of $100,000. So, yeah, that was my old horse. I also had Casper. He was white, pure white, probably albino. He had not pink eyes, but pinkish. We had to be careful. We had to lather him up with stuff in the sun when I'd take him out riding, make sure he didn't burn his skin. But he was a good horse, too. I liked Casper. He was a cool horse. Loved him. My coffee's cold. So, moving on. What else does everybody have to talk about? We got a half hour technically left. We don't have to do the whole looks like I got mine sold. Oh, all right, Jason. Good to know. Jason's got his house sold because he's moving. So, moving to another state. That's good to know, brother. Thank you, Steph. She said she loves the pics. Yeah, it was a nice part of our life. And that was a great place to be early on in our relationship, our marriage, I should say. We've been together. We've known each other since 2004, so 20 years. Been together for 19 years and married for 17 years. So, yeah, that first couple of years we were married, we were out at the ranch. So it's pretty cool. Elderberry said I had more a quarter horse, and she was fast. Yeah. Fergus was fast. Hey, good morning, Scott Allen. Good to see you. Finally out of bed, huh? Heat up that coffee, brother. Yuck, cold coffee. We'll wait. Well, thank you, Lewis. I think I'm going to do just that. I think I'm going to go up and get some hot coffee. So why don't you all sit here and enjoy the view, which is not much. It's just my desk in my area here. So I'm going to go up and get some coffee, or get my coffee warmed up. Let's put it that way. And I'll be right back. Sit tight. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. All right. Here we are. I'm still in my shorts, my sleeping shorts. It's one of those mornings. What did Lewis say while he's away? Let's chat about Snicker bars and the eclipse, shall we? What about Snickers and the eclipse? Or are they just random topics? So, why don't you call in? Lewis, call in. JP, call in. Steph, call in. Scott Allen, call in. We got about 23 minutes left before we officially end this little romp for Sunday morning. Why don't you call in? I've been doing all the talking this morning. It's a good thing I can talk. So come on. Just being funny. That's all right, Lewis. Be funny live. Come on. Come on. You can call in. Does anybody know how to get here? Let me put the invite link up into the chat room for those of you who don't know it. Boom. There it is. Just click on that link or copy it and paste it, and you too can be part of the Sunday morning show. You know, one thing I'm going to do, I swore I was going to do it. Maybe when we got a tax refund, maybe we'll use some of that. Get a nice camera, a better camera, because this computer, the camera, it's all built in. It's an Apple computer, but this Apple computer dates back to, I don't even know how old this is, about this Mac. This Mac dates back to, well, that's software. I'm looking to see if it tells me. I don't know. Doesn't tell me how old the Mac is. If it does, it's too small a type and I can't figure it out, but it dates back far enough that this computer's probably about 6 or 7 years old by now, which means it's a boat anchor. I mean, it works. It's got all the bells and whistles, but I got to upgrade. See, I was thinking of Rainey's got this old, what's the Intel? Old Intel computer. It's about that thick, you know, and it stands on a stand. But the thing, you hear it all the time. She starts up, goes, and it just runs like. Then it stops and it's fine. But it makes noise like she needs a new computer, and it's a PC. I got to get her an Apple. How you doing over there, Mr. Hadmaker?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's everything going?
So far, so good. I've kind of spilled my guts this morning as to how life is.
Yeah, no, I know how that goes.
Life is what life is. Oh, yeah, there's still a website. I used to have this because this would show up in all the shows. There's a website on there. What's the website? It's etsy.com/shop/Mama Hathor's Studio. Should go over there, folks. Mama Hathor's Studio. That's Mama, M-A-M-A. I got to see if that's still active. That's Rainey's site. Etsy. That was one of them anyway. Etsy.com/shop/Mama Hathor's Studio. Studio or studios? Studio. Let's see if that goes anywhere. Boom. Mama Hathor's Studio. It comes up with her logo. I don't think there's anything there. Oh, Mama Hathor's Studio is currently not selling on Etsy. So her logo's there and all of that, but her site is gone. She moved that all over. She does the Two Loons thing now, and I think she doesn't use Etsy anymore. So anyway, that's what that if you ever see that, that's what the small print is right there. Oh, and this, my mic does go somewhere. This is the auxiliary mic that's not hooked up. So people go, oh, what's that thing? Oh, you don't have a real mic. It's just for show. No, no, that's the auxiliary mic. It's all wrapped up in there. So when we had 2 mics. So what I want to do is get Rainey a new computer. She needs a new computer, or do I need the new computer? And I let her have this one. Is this the one I do everything on? Do I get a new computer upgrade for my company? Or do I get her the new computer to upgrade for her company? Or do I get us both new computers? I think what she needs a big laptop. I want to get her one of those big, like 21-inch laptops. The big monster size ones, Apple laptop. And she can do all her stuff on that. But get rid of that old piece of garbage. That thing, as soon as I don't think I would even put it up for sale. I'd put it up for a museum to have it for free. We'd donate her computer. Well, I ran across an old vacuum tube yesterday over there.
Oh, nice.
It's for the radio, which I don't think I have out right now. I used to have it out, and in the last move, it got dropped.
Oh,
It was
no.
a 1938, I think it was. And
Oh.
so it's in a box right here, I think. And it cracked the whole top piece off. It wasn't plastic. It was that what did they call that? They
What,
made
like
radio.
Bakelite?
What's that?
Was it like Bakelite or something?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it cracked that. Now I could glue it all together, and there'd be a cracked radio with cracks in it. That's okay. But I would turn that thing on. It still works. Even after being dropped, I plug that thing in, and it takes a little while for it to warm up. But man, those vacuum tubes would glow red.
Yep.
And it was very cool. I'm curious. Why don't you say something, Jason, for a minute? Let me see
Something.
Still.
There, I said something.
Plug it in.
Yeah, I have.
Put it away somewhere.
Speaking of vintage radios, I have 2 vintage floor model console type radios. I've got a Philco. That's a radio plus turntable.
Yes.
That gosh, I think they manufactured that model sometime between like 38 and 42. And then I have a Zenith. Trying to think. That one was 38 or 37. They're pretty nifty.
Yeah, it was. I loved it. I'd always turn it on. I'd find the old big band stations on
Right.
the radio.
Exactly. I can't flip my camera, so I'll have to. But
Oh, nice.
there's my
Very
Philco,
nice.
and
Yeah. There's
there's
your
the
record player.
turntable. And
Turntable.
the lights come on, the turntable spins, albeit not very fast. So it needs to be cleaned. Probably the motor needs to be cleaned out. And then
Mine sat here. It was over here in a box for the longest time. And now I'm not sure where it is.
my Philco, or my Zenith, though, that one. Let's see if I can get some better lighting to really get it. It's overcast right now, so I don't.
Yes. Yes.
See, computer, living room on.
Computer.
Okay.
Back-
Tea. Earl Grey. Hot.
By timing your smart lights to turn on or
Right,
off when
yeah.
you want. Just ask me to turn off the lights in 15 minutes.
I already know these things. You tell these things to me like I don't. Okay.
You tell me these things as if I don't know.
There's my Zenith.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm not on the page. Very nice. God, that's gorgeous.
Right? The finish is still great. The dial is just what's like super neat.
I love it. I
Um,
had one very similar to that, but it was just like the upper section of that.
mhm.
It wasn't a floor model, and it fit right into a bookshelf slot. And I had that sitting on one of my big bookshelves for a long time.
Yeah, my goal with both of them is to eventually take my Echo Dots, because my Zenith will actually fire up. It will very faintly pick up signal.
Yes.
But it's damn near impossible to do. And the tuning portion of it is iffy because the needle on the dial doesn't spin. Whatever
Yes.
cable or band attaches those two is not connected anymore. But what I want to do is I want to get my Amazon Echo,
Yes.
and then kind of disassemble it a bit and work in LEDs into the round portion. So where you have the little LED light that chases around the exterior of the Echo. I want to try to find a way to extend it or attach a new one that fits just inside on the other side of the glass there, and then wire. If I've got to get a small amplifier, then I'll do that. But then wire the speakers into the main speaker on the radio, so that way, whenever in the living room or something like that, whenever I,
Yes.
hey, Alexa or whatever, it'll come through the radio instead of through the little dot. So
Yes.
don't know how long it's going to take me. Don't know when I'm going to get around to it. Certainly not right now. Won't be until I get to St. Louis.
Not today.
Definitely not today. But yeah. So that's what I want to do with those. That way, it's a bit of quote unquote functioning mid-century, mid-century tech.
Nice. Oh, we got Lewis.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, Lewis. How
Guten
you doing,
Morgen.
brother? Let me get
Good.
rid of this banner that's hiding you. There you go.
Hey, there he is.
I haven't seen your face for a long time.
A long time, brother. Long time.
So
I mean,
you got
I'm
any
usually
old
working.
radios?
what's that? Old radios? Oh, I love to talk about old radios. Antiques. I'm into
Yeah.
antiques. I'm a picker.
I have the one tube I have sitting over here.
Lewis, where are you located?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania? All right. It's a little far away from St. Louis where I'm going.
There. Do you see
I
this?
just got a mid-century modern house built in '54, so I'm going to be
that
looking for stuff.
came out of the radio, but the radio still works. So I don't know what it was, what it did, but it fell out of the radio. And so there it is. But the radio still works. But the thing gets hot now. Those tubes, when you think about it,
Oh God, yeah.
the majority of those tubes have been in that radio for 90 years.
Yep.
You plug it in and it still works.
That's
They
the
light up,
beauty
but
of
they
American
glow
made products.
red. I would turn off the lights in the studio. You'd have that glow, that orangey
You
glow
nailed that.
coming from the back of the radio. And every
Well,
now
the
and then it
good
would
thing-
smell hot, or the radio would get hot. So I just unplug it. I don't want to start a fire.
The good thing is that they made tubes forever, so those may not be 90-year-old tubes in that radio.
That's it. Yeah. You can still get them
you
if
still
you.
get 'em.
I'm sure there are places that there. I think they're probably harder and harder to get. Would be
Hey,
my guess.
GE.
There's a decent.
GE,
Oh, go ahead.
GE products. I mean, if you get online and you just go to eBay, type in GE tubes, old radio, your description and stuff. GE still makes a lot of products.
GE vacuum tubes. Let's find out. Yeah. You can get a tube that I don't know if it's the same thing. It looks just like this. They call this a Genelex Gold Lion. $62. There's another one that looks like it. $30, $24,
Yeah.
$99, $18.99, $250.
Is that on eBay?
So, those are all the ones that are on sale. the GE products via Viva Tubes, VIVA Tubes.
I think if you do some research,
VivaTubes.com has
I
a
think
whole
if
bunch of these. $10.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so you can get all different kinds of vacuum tubes.
oh, yeah.
Is there anything currently nowadays that requires vacuum tubes other than antiques?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think so either. What's that?
There are still some amplifier companies,
Okay.
like for guitar amps and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
That will still make tube amps, but like prohibitively expensive. So
I think I must have
gotta find
taken
a-
this radio. I must have put it all in a box in the broken pieces so I wouldn't lose them. I couldn't tell you where they are right now. That's too bad.
You have some
Put 'em in a
antique
box so
shops
you wouldn't
around
lose 'em.
over your way?
What's that?
You got any antique shops around over your way?
Yeah, we got a ton of them.
That's
So-
where you might want to start looking
Yeah.
and talk to those guys because,
Yep.
as you can see, they're big bucks.
You know, this radio I had was about this big, black. I still have it. I'm talking of it in past terms only because I don't know where it is at the moment. I think it got put in a box that's in the storage closet. But it was about this big, and it sat and it worked. It was fine. I got it for like $10 at a garage sale, like 20 years ago.
Nice.
So now people are savvy to those things. You'll find the same thing at a garage sale for, well, we would like to have 320 or make your offer.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we can't go below 400.
So the
And,
Philco down in the basement, I picked that up for $45, I think it was. And then they threw in a portable turntable and a small
Nice.
portable radio for like
just wanted to
an
get rid of
extra
it.
like 15. Yeah, it was a
Now,
it was a
did you
younger gal.
refinish the ones you have, or is those original finishes?
Those are original finishes. That's how
Very
well,
nice.
at least original to me.
Yeah.
But the Zenith,
Woo! Pardon me.
because it
Gotcha.
it will
Thank
pick up signal and whatnot, and it does actually turn on and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a harder one for me to find. I think I paid like $375 for it, but the finish on it's almost immaculate. And it's probably a little bit more than what the going rate was when I researched it, when I saw it pop up on Facebook Marketplace. I started kind of researching stuff, and the prices for them were it was like a shotgun. It was just scattershot everywhere.
Sure.
So I kind of went with what seemed like the most fair average. And
By the way, Elderberry says Sensui had a stereo back in the day. It melted speakers. I caught speakers on fire with it. Nice. And he used to repair this stuff when he was in the 6th grade.
oh,
I remember we had TVs when I was a kid. And, frankly, at 63, I'm not ancient yet. I'm not elderly, quote unquote. I'm just older. But I
Right.
grew up in the 60s and the 70s. We had
Seasoned.
TVs in our house, that the big floor unit, and you'd turn it around. It was all vacuum tubes
yeah.
back in the late 60s, early 70s. So, that's what my mom could afford at the time. We got a TV. It's black and white. It was neat. It was those big cabinets that were about, 2.5 feet across. They stood about 4 feet tall. They were about 2.5 feet deep. Big floor units, and the screens were about that big.
Right. Yeah.
They were black and white. And it's like I mentioned very recently, I was in 4th or 5th grade before we got a color television set. And it was the first I ever noticed. The first thing I did was tune in Star Trek, the ever-present, ubiquitous repeats of Star Trek in the afternoon.
Not surprised.
And, I said, Kirk's shirt is green. It was never yellow. It was green.
No, there was a gold one. There was a gold one.
It was goldy. They went in the later season. They went a little goldier because it was green to begin with.
Yeah.
And of course, as we all know, it's all ancient history for any Trekker.
And it had the
The way it was filmed it turned it more goldy on screen. And so they just went with that color later on.
Yeah.
They called it Tenny, Tnne was the color. If you look it up in the Starfleet technical manual, which I had when I was in.
I never
Middle
had
school.
that one. I only had the Klingon dictionary. So
Gabriel, hola!
How sad
Hola,
is that?
desde Español, ¿qué tal estáis? Yes, sí, me oui. I don't speak Spanish. I recognize some words, but welcome, Gabriel. Gabriel or Gabriel? Is it pronounced Gabriel or Gabriel? He'll come back and say, is what pronounced Gabriel or Gabriel? So, anyway, good to see you. Welcome. Lewis.
Yeah, I'm stuck on antiques and stuff like that, and oh my goodness,
Yeah.
some of the Star Trek stuff out there too is collectible, and I love
Super.
dealing with.
Hell yeah. I mean, just look at my shelf back there.
Look
Yeah.
at that. That is beautiful. What's your oldest piece there, Scotty?
Oh boy. Probably the oldest piece, I will admit, is this right here. And it's not even strictly a Star Trek item or a Star Trek prop or anything. It's the Viewmaster
Oh, that is gorgeous.
nice.
with the Star Trek
Nice.
reels.
Oh, wow.
Here, look at this. Here, I'm going to share this with you guys.
Oh, please do. This is right up my
That's
alley.
cool.
I love this kind of
I
stuff.
saw a comedian, Joel Hodgson was his name, a comedian a long time back.
Joel Hodgson,
years.
as in like Mystery Science Theater 3K.
Yes,
Joel Hodgson?
yes. He was doing
Yeah.
stand-up in Minneapolis,
Yep.
which is where that show originated.
Yes.
And he would get up on stage and he goes, I just took a vacation. I've got pictures here. And then he'd hand it to the audience and go, you can pass it around. Now this, I wish I could share this. This is, I'm looking at the episode, The Omega Glory. Do you remember which one that was?
That's-
E plebnista. You remember that quote?
No.
So one
Oh,
with
wait,
the
wait, wait,
United
wait. Is that the
States
one where they
flag at
found
the
the-
end?
Is that the one where they found the basically it was a philosophical mirror planet of Earth, but
Yeah,
America?
the Kums and the Yangs that were fighting with each other, and
Yeah.
the Yangs were like wearing furs, and they were like savages, and the Kums
Right.
all looked Chinese, and
It was an
ends up-
allegory
and there was
for
one
America and-
starship captain. Their ship was stranded there. He was the only one left, and he was using that society. He's using his phasers, distributing his phasers to one side, and they come to find at the end that they're saying the holy words, the E plebnista, and then they brought in this tattered United States flag, which
Yep.
was going along with the science fiction philosophy that all societies or all cultures spread throughout the universe all progressed or evolved equally. And they were putting forward that, well, they had a United States flag, not because it was the United States, but because they had all progressed equally. And so they were showing, and so this planet, and they had this old tattered flag, and he gets up and he's "Ye plebnista," this and that, and he's going. Then Kirk was the one, of course, and it's that one of the famous speeches from the old episodes was Kirk says, and he saw the documents, and he said, says, I want to see these, and he picks them up and goes, no, you cannot handle it, and Kirk kind of pushes him aside. He says, you're missing the meaning. He says, you've garbled it. E plebnista, we the people, he said. And he quotes the preamble of the Constitution in that show. And it was fantastic. And it had the great swelling music in the background. And he says, these aren't holy words that are private. These are holy words for we the people, for everyone, he said.
Right.
And your words are hard, one called Kirk, but we will try. That's the kind of thing. But this is probably the oldest piece that I have in my collection. The rest are action figures, toys, phasers, things like that. But this is from 1966, I believe. The date is still on this. So this is almost 60 years old, as is
Beautiful.
the Viewmaster. And so that sits up on my collectibles shelf up there. And the rest of my guys up there, you know, they're all, the Enterprise there's probably, that one's probably 25 years old. And I got the action figures. You see Spock is sitting and Kirk is behind him. That's a newer Kirk. That's one of those new where they laser scanned everybody. And they did the, and you can go get that done. You can actually go to like the Mall of America has a shop where you can go take yourself or your family, and they have like 53 cameras in this little booth that shoot you at every angle, and it creates on the spot like a laser printed perfect photographic image of you as an action figure.
There was
Cool.
there was a guy at the last.
This one of William Shatner as Kirk. So this is probably the newest one I have, but you can see that's how that one was done.
Nice.
And now he wasn't a young man when they scanned him. I don't know where they got, they took it from photographs somehow, but that is about as lifelike as you can get for a mini action figure. In the
So
pictures.
at Viva Las Vegas, that Rockabilly Festival I go to every year, which I'm not going to this year because
Yeah.
moving. So last year at the car show portion, somebody brought out a trailer with a very similar system.
Oh,
But
cool.
It wasn't 53 cameras. It was like 100 cameras.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, you can get in, do a pose, whatever, you know, get with your buddies, do a poses, whatever, and then they take the shot, and they could have something printed out by the end of the weekend.
Yes.
If you got in on it early enough, or you could wait and have it shipped to you, and it'd be all printed out, and then they would paint it.
Nice.
And I was like, oh man, I want to do that.
I'd love to do one of those with my family.
I was going to say, we
Have
need a
us all
Scotty
stand there.
Roberts.
Yeah, I'd love to do. I think it'd be fun. John Ward and I talked about that once. We're gonna do.
Get Funko Pops.
We're gonna do Scotty and John action figures. We never did. But
Yeah, get Funko Pops. The bobblehead looking
Bobblehead?
where
Oh,
it has
yeah.
the little body.
yeah.
Get those. There's companies that actually make those. You just send in some
And they're
pictures.
not as expensive as you'd think.
No, they're not.
I think it was like $150 or something to get your image done as a 12-inch action figure.
Right. Well, and everybody would
something
say
like
that's
that.
really expensive, but it's like, no, it's really not. If you look at per unit, when you have a
Right.
company that's making, we'll go with the foot tall GI Joes, that's like
Yeah.
30 or $40.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you understand the volume that they make these things in and how many
Mhm.
sell? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
150 for something like that's actually pretty
Pretty
cheap
good.
when you think of
Well, at least that's what it was over 10 years ago
yeah.
when they first started doing this.
It
But
could have gotten cheaper just because technology's gotten
I still think that would be if you can bank it and make one of those. What a great thing to pass on as you get older. I could do my whole family right now in one of those, and 50 years from now, if somebody doesn't destroy it in between now and then.
now grandpa can
That
stare
thing
me
is still good.
menacingly from the
Yeah.
Great family heirloom.
I'd like to see if they could do nudes of my wife. No, just kidding, folks. I wouldn't do anything like that. So, what? What, Jason?
I said, really? You wouldn't do anything like that?
Not that I'd tell right away. What I think is kind of cool. Rainey's never been bashful about that. I've got tons of nudes of Rainey. It's not your and I say gross, guys, we like sex and all of that stuff, but when you really get down to it, it's not doing the gross pornographic type of stuff. I've got nudes of Rainey, very tasteful, very naked, very nude, but not your trashy type of stuff.
There's a line you gotta cross before it goes from art to smut.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say.
And so it's
there
not
was no
smutty
art.
stuff. And she didn't want me to do the smutty stuff anyway.
Right.
But we got some great stuff that I, of course, can't show on this show. But it's something that if I could, I'd put together a coffee table book and say, this is your great grandma when she was 30. This is what she looked like. I think that that's interesting to say, because there's tasteful nudes. What Michelangelo painted nudes. I mean, hell, the classics.
Just watch out for the 17th and 18th century because it gets real.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, I think it's kind of fun to have, because I can say, this is for posterity. This is who you were. And I've got shots of her, she's clothed and she looks good or sexy or whatever you want to say. Those are great shots.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, though, a great grandkid going, wow, grandma, that was you 60 years ago? That's pretty cool. And so it's for posterity, and I like the stuff. And you've seen my Instagram page. I get as close as it gets to some. There's some great sexy shots of Rainey on there, but it gives you an idea. And she's going to be 44 in a couple of weeks. And she's like, my body ain't what it used to be. I said, now, aren't you glad we did some of those pictures? You've got those. That's part of who you are. And there's some people who go, well, I don't need nude shots of me from when I was young. Nobody said she needed them. She's got them, though. And I think it's cool.
It's art.
It
It's
is.
art.
Mhm.
It's awesome.
And the stuff I do of her is pretty artsy. I'll take them in sometimes. I'll do special effects on the backgrounds, make sure the lighting looks good or something like this. I want it to look good. And so it becomes works of art. And I did a couple of shots of her that were AI. And I took the AI or old photographs, and I manipulated the bodies so it looked more like her and stuff. I've done some stuff like that. And I'm like, it's not her.
What
Right.
program
And,
did you use
so-
for the AI?
What's that?
What program did you use for your AI?
Oh, just something like, what have I got? It's right here. Which one? I have a Discord or Midjourney. And we've had that. She uses that for her Tumblr business, getting images off of that.
There's some
and-
really cool pictures on a place called Night Cafe. If she really wants some
Oh.
pictures for her tumblers, I'll send you the link.
Well,
Night
we
Cafe
put in
is-
she puts in the parameters of what she does, and it's pretty neat stuff that she comes up with. And she'll put in like Inuit art of Native American bear in the style of XYZ and so on. And she'll go bang, put that up, and it's gorgeous stuff she does. And comes up with great artwork for her tumblers. So
I love Night Cafe as far as like their graphics and stuff like that. They have some really cool
Sure.
graphics. I've used
well,
them.
she sells her stuff on Etsy, on her other Etsy page, her Two Loons page, which is her Tumblr company, Two Loons. And she sells just the flat artwork. People will buy that to put on their Tumblr business because they don't know how to do AI, or if they have AI, they do it poorly. I've seen some people use AI, and it's like, come on, you can do better than that,
It's got
in
7
AI.
fingers on each hand.
Yeah. I mean, I've got AI that I use for things. And now this is very cool. Like here's some of the stuff she did. Hold on. Take a look at this. If I go share my screen again and I go shebang and share. Okay, I go over here to our AI program. This is stuff Rainey just did. So she wanted a pug, and she named the setting and the style of art she wanted. So she's done all this stuff on AI. She's going to put some of these on tumblers, and it's pretty cool. And
yeah.
the other night, I was trying to do a graphic for the King David series. I just do a slap up a quick graphic and I didn't like any of these. Too medieval for David. And here's some of the other stuff Rainey does. And that's about the size it comes out, and she sizes that to fit the tumblers. And she has me then do slogans for them and all that. And so that's what she uses it for. Vans, all different kinds of things. Like this was for somebody's t-shirt design. I said, I want the North Woods. I got that, all these kinds of things like that. Hiking. Abraham Lincoln in Star Trek. That was just specifically for Dan Madsen because he says, is that Lincoln back there? So there's all this here. This is some of the cool stuff Rainey does. Buffalo.
Oh, that is cool.
And she puts that on tumblers. And what was here's her parameters. Superb is a style that with Midjourney. Superb sacred white buffalo, mystical journey in an ethereal garden, bright colors, intricate detailing, indigenous American style, folk art style. Boom. And that's what she gets.
That is cool.
And so some of these, that's one of the other ones. And she'll put these on tumblers.
That white buffalo is really nice.
It's really cool.
It
And
is.
so she did a whole bunch of these the other day. Here's other animals she's done. Different style. What was this? Indigenous American folk art style. Bold earth tones. Stuff like that. So this is where I found that this comes in real handy. Oh, I wanted to see what it would come up with. I put in a Lakota warrior, crazy horse, caught in a candid moment while on horseback, portrait, outside, dust in the air, slight wind, cinematic, photorealistic, hot sunshine in the Little Bighorn Valley. And these were the 4 options it gave me. And I liked this one because almost faceless, which nobody really knows what Crazy Horse looked like. We have descriptions of him. I did stuff for the Exodus when I was speaking about the Exodus. These were for speaking of mysticism. I do a ton of my radio stuff. I take out of this. Now, like one of my favorite comic book artists, Mike Mignola. He did Hellboy. If you remember the Hellboy movies,
Yeah.
he's the original comic book artist, and this was his style. So what you put is defeating, this was for a customer, defeating anxiety in battle with a sword fight in the style of Mike Mignola and Hellboy. And that's what it came up with. And I thought that was kind of cool. So I was going to do a t-shirt for him like this. But, all of this stuff. And if you go way back in Rainey's and my stuff, now this is for a client of mine that is starting a food truck court. And so I started getting images like that. When you don't have a huge budget to work with, you can go in and make an image and decide, am I going to be able to take this image and use it for a logo and spend a whole minute developing it as opposed to having to draw it all by hand or create it by. This is for St. Patrick's Day. I wanted to come up with I used this image for St. Patrick's Day.
Can you pull that out, Scotty? That
Yeah.
Irish one.
Yes. This one?
Yeah, let's see that. Yeah, this one. Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I'm not sure if I may have cut the character out. I can't remember. I may have had the character, but it's in the background of the graphic for St. Patrick's Day. And these were the options it gave me when I put in the parameters. So I thought this one was very cool. The one in the upper right. The one in the upper left was cool too. And
Yes,
the parameters
very
were
nice.
St. Patrick on it's the Isle of Iona, on Iona in Ireland, in the style of Lord of the Rings movie poster. I wanted that look and that feel. This is what it originally gave me, St. Patrick.
If you can find the right people on Discord, a lot of people will buy your prompts that you keep calling parameters. They're
Yes.
called prompts. People will buy those.
Huh.
Yes. I like, you know what I like to use is this in the style. Well, this is in the style of Tim Burton, mixed with 1950s advertising postcard art. This was for the mysticism one. This was Tim Burton style of stuff. Like if I go up here and I search Tim Burton, we were doing stuff for tumblers way back. And this is some of the now it goes chronologically in order backwards. So this is everything where I mentioned in the style of Tim Burton. I was trying to come up with something that favored Rainey and I to use for Sunday morning graphics in that one. But some of this stuff is incredible. Here I was doing musical instruments in the style of Tim Burton. This was it was Tim Burton, Tony Ditzerlizzi, Alex Pardee, those three combined in making stuff with musical instruments that we did for tumblers.
AI is incredible.
This stuff I did. I wanted a bunch of Scottish warriors done in the same style, and I ended up with this. And in the style of Tim Burton and Ditzerlizzi and things like that. This British Army.
That's cool.
Or the Scottish Rampart. I used this one, I think, on a tumbler for a saxophone. And we had one that was really piano. And what's cool is I could create this stuff from scratch if I wanted to. But for doing tumblers, which you make very little money on, or so she sells some of these pieces of art we do. And of course, I go and I doctor them up in Photoshop. I add text to some of them, and people buy them for, I think Rainey sells them for like $4. And some months she'll sell
$4
80.
in the mugs.
No, just for the art, the flat art.
Oh,
That people who are doing mugs on their own in their basement, they'll buy her art. And sometimes, some months she'll have some of these. She sold 80 pieces at $4 a piece.
Yeah.
You know, which makes her some decent extra. So this is a bunch of the stuff that we had done. Oh, this is a guy I used, a bagpiper. He's supposed to be a bagpiper. So he's got the plaid on, and we used him in a graphic that we put against a brick wall with the Scottish flag looking like it was spray painted on the brick wall. And so Rainey does that. If I go into into Photoshop, I know we're way over time now, but if I go into Photoshop and I go to Rainey's stuff, she has two loons tumblers, and we go down to I originally started putting them in a folder called Rainey's Mockups, and I think if I've got the Scottish one, I'm going to see if it's in here. I'll just show you how the final turned out after I did a bunch of Photoshop stuff to it. It's reading this off a disc, so it's going just a little slower. Let's see. Scottish. Hang on. I got to put on my cheaters to read this. Well, she got in trouble with Etsy. Did you know that the United States Marine Corps? We did a bunch of these for the Marine Corps for all four branches. We did them white guy, black guy, white woman, black woman. All different, all with their different emblems. So we got, like, there's Marine Corps. We had Army and all of those. But there was only one that the Marine Corps said we were violating their copyright. We didn't know they had a copyright on their logo.
Oh, yeah. They are
We didn't know that. We thought, oh, it's a branch of the United States military. This is
So
one of my favorites. Hold on there, you fucktard, anal flap. Did you just go full twat waffle?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite ones.
There's a couple of companies who have for a very long time made reproduction uniforms and equipment and things like that, and they stopped making certain World War II uniform reproductions for Marine uniforms because of how much they were going to have to pay to use the EGA stencil on the pockets. They are very, very protective of it. I think the only The only outfit that I've seen more protective of it than the Marines is Volkswagen, which is like, you remember Filbert from Cars, the bus?
Yes, yes.
So all the different companies that were,
Navy.
licensed to make Cars toys, they could only produce a certain number per year of Filbert with the VW logo because of that. And so like for the longest time it was like impossible to find Filbert, Matchbox and Hot Wheels type stuff and things like that.
By the way, I'll just insert we specialize. So she would say somebody likes this design, we put in Gryffindor, we put in the person's name, and I used Harry Potter typeface, and I put in Madison. This was for a girl named Madison. So we personalize them for people. London was a girl. That's actually my niece.
What was the name of that Matchbox car?
Filbert. So
Filbert?
the green VW bus from Cars.
What I do?
The hippie. They could only make so many of them per run because of the logo, the VW logo usage.
Air Force.
That's cool, Scotty.
That's
right
my
back.
kids. Stuff like that. So Rainey does all this stuff, and she prints them here. The Air Force we haven't any problem with. The Army we haven't any problem with. Here's some of her like Alaskan stuff that she did with the Alaskan bear. Stuff like that. So what's neat about all of these is you can create these. Rainey creates them. She has me do like these. I did a ton of artwork on these. I created the background art in AI. And then I took I said, like Superman ripping open his shirt, African-American male. And it gave me this. And I think he was in a blue suit. And I changed the colors to green for Army, the tie to the buff color, the tan color. And then I put in the Army, specific Army camo underneath. And then I put in the Army logo. And so I created all of these for Rainey. There's the female one, the Army. And she like that. So
speaking of doing logos and stuff, Scotty.
Yeah.
I have very, very little left to do on this. Just trimming the brim up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
let's see. Let me get back to my window here and stop sharing my screen. Look at that.
It's the one that I've been making for my wing commander.
Very nice. Oh, with the label in it. I like it. The only thing I think that would look better from just a creative standpoint on the label is to do it in a lighter color, little lighter, like that satiny tan color,
right? Where
it's dark enough to show the image. Black looks great, but there you go.
It doesn't look as dressy and as finished. But I also was like, well, let me just see how it runs, and then I just like how bold it is. With it being black. So when I make another order of things to put in, I will probably see if I can do them in
yes,
golds and silvers and things like that to more match it to the liner. But
show that again. That's the liner. That's the logo we did for Jason's hat company, Marauder Hats. Outstanding. By the way, Scott Allen's an artist. He says, I know artists that are highly against AI, but it's a train that can't be stopped. I'm like you. I use it for inspiration and ideas. Scott Allen, I use AI for stuff where somebody says,
oh man, I might not even have to trim the brim.
That's gorgeous, man.
Yeah, that looks great.
Is that one mine?
No, this one's for Colonel Monroe. Oh my God.
That's sharp.
Yeah, like I actually, so when I did it, I worked the turn into the hat. And it's come out a lot better than I realized. So he probably won't actually
that
have
looks
to do any.
Really cool.
Sweet.
Sweet.
It's been sitting on a mannequin head, so I haven't really.
Yes.
But we have the same hat size, so I figured I'd try it on.
I
long
want
does it take to make a
to
hat?
finish saying what I was saying to Scott Allen is I will never create AI and use it and represent it as my artwork. I have never done that. What I will use AI for, like you said, for inspiration. There's times I want to know, what does this guy look like if he's sword fighting against two other guys and they're wearing 1830s Spanish clothing? Okay, poof, I get that in 2 minutes. I can call that up and I can use that as a reference. Now, they're not always historically accurate on AI, but it's something that I can use for body shape reference. That's not always accurate either. But if I want a guy that's doing a punto reverso with this, or what's that going to look like? Because I'm not seeing it in front of me. I have done where I've stood up and I've modeled something like that, like with Tam O'Hare, where there was a sword fight. I wanted to show what would happen if he did one of these and parried the sword away. The one sea captain, he used his hat. They did that a lot in Elizabethan England. Take off his hat and parry away the sword and come in. And so I wanted to see what that would look like. And I do it in front of a mirror, or I would pose it out and I go, okay, now I know where that goes. Now I use AI for that sometimes to use it as a model.
Right.
And but just be it known, as an artist, I will never represent my art with AI. That to me is, it's not plagiarizing.
It's disingenuous,
but it's not real. It's deceiving. And so I don't do that. And my art looks very different than AI anyway. So there it is.
Much better work. Much better.
I just noticed it's 11:30. We end the show.
What were you asking, Lewis?
I lost it, but I will say this about AI in all their, like, in most of the works. If you look at the hands in AI work, their hands
6 fingers.
It's
like thumb coming out of the middle of his palm, things like that. Yeah,
it's crazy. But still, I mean, like you said, you get it for inspiration.
Yeah, and we do it for Raini's tumblers. I mean, I don't have to sit down. If I went down and did for the over 100 pieces of art that exist for her tumblers, if I'd done those all by hand, we'd have a fortune spent in creating art.
Yeah.
When you get $4 a piece for the flat piece of art, or you get, and I did some original art for those. They didn't sell at all. And it's like, okay, I'm not doing that again. And so if Rainey needs something, we just do up Tumblr art for her.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Anyway, there's that. There, we killed that topic. So anyway, it's good that we killed the topic, because guess what? It's 11:30 and we're a half hour over. And for those of you who are left in the chat room, 13 of you, and a bunch of others out there, we're going to call this show quits for today, because I usually go 2 hours on a Sunday, then I spend the rest of the day with my family. And I hear them all running around doing stuff upstairs. They had to go to school today to take their volleyball pictures. Rowan's team, you heard her earlier. So Rainey was up. If you weren't here early, you missed Rainey. Fresh out of bed in her robe, looking glorious. And so she was here, and she had to get dressed to take the kid into school. And I'm like, yesterday, they had tournaments all day yesterday for the volleyball. And I'm like, we don't even have Saturdays and Sundays anymore. There was Rainey. I didn't go yesterday because it was an hour drive from here. Rainey spent 2 hours in the car getting there and back, plus 4 hours at the tournament. It's like, I'm not going to go sit in a gym for 6 hours today.
Yeah.
And I said, sorry, Rowan, I love you. Good luck. I make all your local stuff. I don't like Rainey doesn't even go half the time to the long distance ones, because she can get on a bus, go with the rest of the team. But so I stayed home, and because it was a nice day outside. I didn't want to be in the gymnasium all day. But so that was all day Saturday. And then somebody else had something all day Sunday. Or there's a scout thing, or there's this and that. It's like all your spare time as a kid and as adults are used up with school and extracurricular stuff. And it's like, stop doing stuff on the weekends. Leave
Right.
the weekends for family stuff.
Well, but we want them to focus on school during the week.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where you look at
Yeah.
something like that, and it really, in a way, and maybe this is cold or unfeeling, right?
Right.
But it kind of separates the wheat from the chaff.
A little
You
bit.
know,
Yep.
the people who are willing to put in that time, the students, you know, the kids who are willing to put in that time and work
Yeah.
on top of the schoolwork, you know, it pays
You know,
dividends later on.
I've only noticed it for the volleyball. My son Flynn was in wrestling the whole season. I don't think they did a single thing on a Saturday.
Yeah. Well, some of it too is
Um,
scheduling with when the gym's available and things like that. There's a bunch of factors
Yeah,
that go
there's
into
that.
it. But yeah, I wish I would have had the
Thank you,
wherewithal
Scott
to do
Allen.
sports and stick with sports in school.
Hey guys, I don't mean to do this, but I've got to
Yeah,
jump.
you do.
I've got somebody.
Get out of
calling.
here.
All right. Thanks for letting me
Good to
come
see you,
on,
Lewis.
Scotty. It's been
Thanks
great.
for calling in,
Great
brother.
seeing you.
Take
JP,
care.
nice to talk to you, buddy.
Good talking.
Good to see you, brother. See you later.
See you later.
And JP, I'm going to do the same to you. I'm going to send you on your way
Sounds good.
because I got to go do other things.
Ejectocito.
Yes. All right. See you, brother.
Later, brother.
Good looking hat, by the way.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. That's it. We're done. Live long and prosper. We'll see you on Monday. And have a good day. Let me find our exit. Here it is. Later.